call the meeting to order at 5:01, and I'm really under the gun, so if I'm faster than usual, just put your hand up, like slow it down a little bit. But I have two people. Actually, is Lauren coming? Steve?
I don't know if Laura's going to physically be here.
I got you.
She
So
said she was going to be here. She might pop up online.
Thank you.
We got Samantha joining.
And she's scheduled for 5:15. Thank you. All right. Introduction of board members. Can we have the people in line first, please, Judd?
Judd Barkowski, with member and resident of Bridgeport, and parent to one more kid in the Career Center.
Thank you. Liz?
Liz Sayre from MAUSD.
Thank you. And Christine?
Christine Wesley, and I am workforce development.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us, even as you're commuting to Fun City, Montreal. Anyway, let's start with Nicole. You go around the table. Introduce
Nicole McTavish, Superintendent and Director of the Hannaford Career Center.
Thank you.
Steve Orzik, Middlebury resident, ACSD representative, and vice chair of the board.
Thank you.
Christina Macklin from North Ferrisburg. I'm an Addison Northwest School District rep.
Dan Rosignol from Addison Northwest at large.
Wendy Pratt, Assistant Director, Hannaford Career Center.
Kim Farnham from New Haven, the Mount Abraham Community at Large member and the chair.
Austin Haynes, New Haven resident, business manager.
William Biederman, Middlebury resident and WIB member.
Linda Barrett, clerk.
And David?
David Roberts, Director of Operations.
Thank you.
And then it does appear that there's another person online.
Oh, yes, thank you, Judd. Oh, that's...
Hi everyone, I'm Samantha Ruggles with Eric
This is
Service.
an attendee, right? Okay, yeah.
She's
just,
with our auditing team. She's gonna do our
Anybody,
presentation.
Okay.
Anybody else online? If somebody else joins, let us know, please.
Yep.
I need a motion to approve the agenda in front of you.
Move that we approve the,
We got Laura Hartman.
Okay,
yes,
Laura's
she's a
on
board
there.
member.
Ms.
I
Laura,
would approve the agenda from last month.
thank you. A second?
Sure.
Bill?
Yep.
And Laura, do you have your camera on by chance?
I think she just got on.
There she
There we go.
is.
There we go.
Hey, girl. Anyway, thank you. So we're entertaining a motion to approve the agenda in front of us. We have the motion, we have a second. Any questions from anybody? Any commissions, delineations?
I consulted with my team. We are not ready to do A24, but I think we are ready to do D3 and C8. Is that what I heard? Right.
Who's got D3? You do.
Yeah, I guess.
If you're not ready, Dan, you don't have to.
No, if I submitted it with a line 2 version, is that right? Was there a line 2 version? I think Bill likes to see the line throughs.
D3. Let's see if there's an active
There's
version.
2 links, but I don't know.
Or did we go through that already?
See, I didn't think we were doing any policies tonight.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, now we'll defer it till next.
Okay, I'm ready to see it though.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to approve the agenda as is.
Well, we need to remove 2 action items.
Policy A24, not ready tonight, and D3.
Okay.
So you want to amend 3 and,
Under action items,
yes,
action item D3 and D4.
Item number 3 and 4.
Yes.
yes, thank you. Anything else, any other changes? Okay. All those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anybody disagree with those changes or not agree with the agenda as amended? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. Motion to approve October 16th meeting minutes. Need a motion?
Also moved.
So moved, Dan, second.
Second.
Bill? Any changes, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. One more comment on the agenda, so we kind of went 3 and 4. Just a quick piece, agenda related but not really. Thank you for the people that attended the VSBA conference. Some went as reps from Middlebury, some went from here, and some did both. But anyway, just found it very informative, something I hadn't been for a good 20 years, and gave my feedback as to Bill, I think I read yours, to the people that ran it. I understand there were 150 people there, which is probably the highest attendance they've had in a long time. So the location change, I think, really was helpful. I suggested more networking. That works for me, but
Yeah.
that's one of the things that really stood out for me, especially with career and technical, and some of the presentations. Well,
We ask every year and they still don't give it.
right.
Everything was a lot more accessible than when I went over to Lake Fairleigh.
That's like,
Yes.
yeah, like
Agreed.
Keeping everything in the, same general area.
General area.
And there were chances to talk to people,
Exactly.
You ran into some people and it's just like, oh yeah, I was excited.
Yeah, or people you'd never seen before because of COVID. I've been online.
Right.
And Sue goes, he said, I didn't realize you were that tall. And I said, well, it's the first time I've seen you in person. It's funny how, all those years. I mean,
Yes.
there's so many years like that. Exactly. But I think the general discussion, one of the pieces that I went to first thing in the morning was the VISBIT vote and the VHI vote. And these were presented to me literally 30 seconds before the vote. And I said, hey, folks, that's not okay. They said, well, it's online. Great. Anyway, suggested in the future, and it seemed to be agreeable to a lot of people. Asked a lot of questions about the insurance piece. That's when they announced how much money they would be saving if they took the weight loss medication off the plan, and it was a considerable sum of money.
Yeah.
I shared, full disclosure that the same thing was happening at the hospital. Hospital's gone to Cigna. They have an RFP out for the prescription plan for teachers and such, and finding that, after 25 years, because they haven't done it, that they have an opportunity hopefully to save some money. So anyway, just kind of shared some information that I was aware of. Mark Koenig, who was our former chairman of the Health Governor's Health Commission, which we obviously weren't negotiating this year, couldn't really say too much, but I did, and just said that this was a helpful piece of lowering cost of insurance, hopefully, by making that move. I also asked if they had approached the hospital regarding a larger pool, and allegedly they hadn't, but I know they had been asked, and kind of clarified that with them and just said, that might be another way to make the pool a little bit bigger. So we'll see what happens, but I was, like I said, a little surprised that this showed up that morning, and just didn't think it was really cool that we didn't have a chance to look in yet. But if you do want to look at it, I have it. You're welcome to share or peruse.
It would have at least been nice to get it in our packet.
Yeah, the night before even, some of us have been there. Anyway, and that was also part of that. But that helped with the networking. I got approached by a lot of people, what's the Career Center, what are you doing, and so on. I told Nicole it was a hot topic yesterday at all of the, as the chair people of all of the hospitals got together talking about LNAs and what structures we have. And they knew a lot already about what we're doing here. They had some questions about obstacles for employment. I said, funny you should mention that. I brought that up at our last hospital board meeting. HR was there and got permission to do that. There's a couple of pieces involving the age of some of our certified LNAs. And they have to be a certain age, especially at Helen Porter, to be able to use the Hoyer lift system. And so those are some, HIPAA-related kind of concerns that they have, as does the director that runs Porter Hospital. But it's an active conversation. Nicole took that information right to HR and got a great response, I thought, in reading that. And she was very in tune with making sure we have good pathways for students, you know, in that profession right now, which was really nice to know. And we got a chance to talk a little bit more. There's another piece with the EMT piece that we're working on, same sort of issue with the Department of Ed and what the requirements that they have in regards to, you know, how can we keep some of those people in Middlebury versus having to go to some other EMT training in some of the other towns. A little more complicated, but again, it's an active conversation, which I think is just as important. Anyway, that is just a little fill-in of what's going on right now with those things. The consent agenda is next. You want to go through those pieces?
Yeah, sure, I'll summarize. So for the month of October, the general fund had $744,360 in accounts payable. Our payroll exposure was $238,425.85. For adult education, we had $2,777.80 in accounts payable checks. The makery was $842.40. In our enterprise account, $9,479.41. Student activities was $21.38. We didn't have any scholarship checks, and the BERF, we cut $50,776.79. As far as our line of credit, that was a big conversation last month, needing to extend our ceiling. So we did max out our line of credit on the old limit of $1.5 million. So for the month of October, we withdrew $950,000. And as part of the resolution we passed last board meeting, we've extended that ceiling to $2.275 million. And that closes out the month of October. Any questions?
We have 1.2 million left on the line of credit then? Is what you're saying?
Correct, yeah. Just this week to float payroll and AP, we drew another 150,000 down. So it's 1.5 plus the 150 as far as what we've drawn to date.
Okay.
We have had some relief, so we did proactively reach out to sending districts a bit early with our tuition bills for the year. So that's a few weeks accelerated, and we have had a couple payments come in, which has helped cash flow, but we expect to be pulling until the December Ed Fund payments. Yeah.
Is everything on the Ed Fund payments, is that pretty much on schedule? Nothing's changed that we know of?
Not that I'm aware of, yeah. So December 10th is usually the ballpark and when they send their big slug.
Okay.
The first, I guess, second installment of our Ed Fund payments.
Okay.
Any federal money that's being held up at all? That you're aware of?
Not, David, any insight into the federal grants? Nothing that I've heard of, so.
All is just kind of plugging away smoothly.
Except
Well,
for
also-
the dismantling of the Department of Education.
There's
that.
that.
By the way,
Yeah, there is that.
going away, but
I had a quick question if I can, which could kind of be directed at you as well. I was reading about a change in funding for nurses for loans that they can actually take out. And it's like down to 20 grand a year for nursing school, and I didn't know how that might affect our program, how it might help the program.
who, federal money?
This is from anything that is going to be done in a loan from the feds. They're basically laying out, it's like the same thing they did with doctors.
David, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, I think the short answer is no impact on our especially our in-day programs. Med professions is not affected. The only place where I could see it being affected is if VSAC started pulling their funding back, because most of our students, if they're looking for funding, are either getting it from the Department of Labor or VSAC.
Okay.
So those are small grants, 2,000-ish.
Okay, thank you.
the question I have, David, status of the buses?
They're somewhere between here and New York. No, they are arriving at the cellar in New York. They were supposed to be here this week, and then I'm expecting her to bring them Monday or Tuesday, or it might be after. They had to put the lettering on them, and then they were going to bring them here. They're helping us get them registered, and we've closed the loan, so there'll be a closeout, and all that happens either next Monday or Tuesday, or it'll happen the first week of December.
Where were they actually built? You know?
I should know that, but I don't.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah.
Anyway. Alright, any questions for Austin?
Thank you for all that work.
Yeah, good. Need some signers for the next couple of weeks?
Oh, yeah, thanks for the reminder. We have, I think December is good, so we just need folks to sign up for next year. I think starting January, we have a couple holes, and then it gets pretty thin after that.
Is the whole calendar up there?
Yeah, so I'll send out a group email blast, and if you could just plug your names in, that would be great. I think you're signed up for many, Bill, so you're off the hook.
You're the winner now.
Bill's a glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
Any questions online from anybody? They're all waving, no. Thank you.
Austin, just a clarification, that payroll between Christmas and New Year's, what day is that gonna be on?
I think it's
that's
the
one.
19th of December that's our last official payroll of December, and then we have one, it's that first week of January, so it's 2 weeks after the 19th.
19th is
Right,
Friday.
yeah, so it's the
January
one between, you gotta have somebody come in between between Christmas and New Year's.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So
That's
I'll
gonna
send
be-
out,
yeah.
I'll send out the link, and if folks are available, that would be great.
Any questions for anybody regarding that? Or any of? So I need a motion for that consent agenda. As is.
Will we accept the consent agenda as reported?
Thank you, Steve. A second? Bill? Okay, thank you. And no other further questions? If, all those in favor, please raise your hand, put your thumb up, say hi. Thank you. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Action items, as report, asset protection.
So, in the interest of time, I won't read this to you, but I am happy to report that we are in compliance with this, in this report. I will point out one thing though. On number 2, it says allow unbundled personnel access to material amounts of funds. We don't honestly know the answer to this, so we have reached out to Visbit and we have not yet received an answer. David emailed them last week. So I didn't say that we were bonded because I don't know if we are, but I answered that we in fact have the policies and procedures in place. And as soon as I know the answer to whether or not we are bonded, I will report that to the board. The people that initially received our email at Visbit didn't know either. So they sent it on to somebody else. So
Pass the buck.
I will come back to you when I know if we're bonded or not.
Thank you. We're about 5 minutes late than we planned on. For Samantha, I don't know who wants to take this.
This is an action, so I think you have to
You want to do
accept.
that one first? Yeah. Okay, thank you. A motion for the action item number 1, 2.
Number 1.
All right, just 1. Thank you. Motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Jeff. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Bill. Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, either raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. So number 2, audit results. You all should have the paper collection in front of you. Samantha?
And
Yes, hi.
and this as well, which is only in the packet. This is not.
Samantha, hi, it's David. I don't know if you can see me. Do you want me to share the audit, the management letter on the screen?
So none of the.
You can if you would like. I was just kind of gonna give a very brief kind of overview and go over the management letter. And then if you guys have any questions specifically about the financial statements, we can do that. So I will let you decide on what you want to put up on the screen.
Well, let me, Austin, do you want to introduce?
Let me see if I can.
No, I have.
Oh,
Sure.
It's just the links aren't working.
But I think everyone's familiar, so we've been using the same audit firm, RH&R Smith, for the last number of years. It certainly predates my time with the school. And after quite a long procedure, I'd say well over a year now, we've been working closely with Samantha to tie out the FY24 audit. Part of the challenge we inherited was the system conversion that we've been talking about, but as far as focusing on the financials, I'll just provide a couple quick highlights about our just how we finished the year, and then Samantha, I'll turn it over to you to get into some of the technical pieces of it. Overall, we have a clean audit. You know, there are some areas that we need to discuss in the management letter as far as core controls and areas for improvement, but the financial statement themselves it's an accurate reflection of the school's financial position as of the close of fiscal year 24. And so looking at our fund balances, we settled approximately at $274,000 in a net position. Excuse me, the general fund ended with a $296,000 fund balance, including $164,000 of that was unassigned. We came out of a significant capital improvement campaign, which resulted in about $4 million of increases to our capital assets, which is understandable based on our energy projects. But overall, we settled the year in a relatively strong financial position, and coming out of that capital cycle. Anything you would add to that, David, as far as high-level talking points before we have Samantha get into some of the details?
I will just point out that we did a bit of cleaning up. There were a lot of older funds that were kind of hanging out that had a couple $100 of fund balance here, a couple hundred here. And those were all just kind of netted out into the general fund, which is where they needed to be, and closed out. So next year, all that'll fall off. So that's it, Samantha.
Listen, I just want to say, first of all, if you guys ever want to do any of my board presentations, you are more than welcome to, because you stole all my thunder. So if you ever are interested, I have a dozen board presentations that I do throughout the year that you guys can do. Okay, so just to kind of quickly introduce myself, my name is Samantha Ruggles. I'm one of the audit managers, and I oversee the state of Vermont and all of our audit managers. I'm one of their team captains. So I've been with the firm for about 8 years. I have worked on and off with your career center for the past few years, and I have worked a little bit more in-depthly through FY24 in the past year with David and Austin. I do want to start out by saying that David and Austin did not come into an easy financial landscape. They definitely they took on some huge challenges when they sat in their chairs. So they have put in countless hours of analyzing legacy information, scouring the trial balances, and making sure that they were comfortable with the math that was there. And also collaborating with myself and some of other people on our side to make sure that we were all comfortable with the math that was there. To kind of reiterate what Austin and David both said was, we did do a lot of cleaning up with some outstanding funds that have just been sitting on the books for years that nothing really happened. So we did clean all those up. And we also cleaned up a lot of other funds that were a result of, to be honest, with some just bad math. You know, we definitely did a lot of digging to figure out where the math was right and where it was maybe lacking. And we made sure that we cleaned that stuff up. So we did, you are ending your year with your general fund at a $296,000 fund balance. Of that, you guys have chosen to use $130,000 of that towards your FY25 budget. You started your year with about a $536,000 fund balance. And the decrease in that, you guys had a surplus budgetary-wise of about $30,000, but you chose to use about $275,000 of that towards your budget. So that's where that decrease in your fund balance year over year comes from. Let's see, just to kind of highlight some of the management letter comments. We issue management letter comments. It's not, it's not a slap on the wrist. It's not a you're in trouble. These are areas that we think that could use improvement. And I am confident that with Austin and David in those chairs now that these improvements will be made. But so one of the things that we did notice is the bank reconciliations. One of our recommendations is that 2 people are putting eyes on bank reconciliations. One person is preparing them, and another person is reviewing them to make sure that that preparation and that reconciliation is correct. And we do recommend that both the preparer and the signer sign off to say that they have looked at it. And that's something that we were not seeing. But I'm sure that that's probably happening going forward. Cash receipting. I'm sure that David can attest with his hours of scouring. Documentation for bank deposits and cash receipting is really, really vital to supporting the revenue that you guys take in. And we, through our testing of controls and all that, we definitely found a lack of documentation for revenue that was brought in to your career center. Let's see. Cash disbursements and accounts payable. There were a few that were paid late. The failure to comply is what we call it with the vendors' payment dates. So we definitely recommend that invoices are paid on time and they're paid in a timely fashion. Usually, just a rule of thumb for us, we're usually looking at anything that is paid later than 30 days of the invoice date. Let's see, purchase orders. If you guys utilize purchase orders, it's really, really, really important that if you do it for one, you do it for all. And when you do that, it's really important that those purchase orders are created and approved and dated prior to the purchase that is actually made. It is just this is our recommendation. It allows a stronger internal control of approval to make sure that things are being posted where they're supposed to be posted, that nothing is being missed. And so that is one of the issues that we came across. The credit cards. Credit cards are a big issue, and I'm not just saying that pinpointedly at you guys. We see this a lot. And one of the things that we definitely recommend for people is to have a credit card policy that outlines authorized users, allowable purchases, requisitions and reconciliations of those credit cards and the receipts and invoices that go along with those credit card purchases, payment authorization and account limits, and then oversight by financially knowledgeable people at the district. We had some issues with some credit cards with lack of documentation, those such things. So it's really important that those get cleaned up. Activity being recorded in the fund balance. This is I would say as an auditor, this is my #1 rule. And it probably doesn't mean a ton to you guys, but it means a lot to me. The fund balance line should never be touched throughout the year. That is something that it needs to stay the same, and when things are posted to it, it makes it a little bit more difficult to back out. So transfers, things like that. So for example, if you wanted to use, we'll just use FY24 as the example. If you wanted to use FY24 fund balance to transfer to a capital projects fund, we would want to see that actually hitting an expense rather than hitting a fund balance line. Even though you're using the fund balance, we don't want to see it hitting that fund balance line. It makes our reconciliation process a little bit more difficult. And it goes against the GAAP or the generally accepted accounting principles. So, and then the last thing, which we also kind of touched on in the beginning, material adjustments needed to avoid misstatement. As David mentioned, we did a lot of cleaning up, we did a lot of work, and a lot of those things were material. They were big items that needed to be cleaned up. So, you know, I'm pretty confident going into 25 that we probably won't see as many. I think that David and Austin have done a heroic job in this position. I would never want to be where they are. So I'm very confident that this long management letter will be very short next year. So.
Can I jump in, Samantha?
You absolutely can.
I just want to point out that this management letter is as effective as of June 30, 2024. Austin and I started in October of 2024.
November.
So, November. So there will be, in FY25, there will be some, what we like to call slop. That we are cleaning up, and like for instance, you know, we started in November and we caught up with bank recs in February or March. So some of these will be next year, but we're in a lot better place than we were a year. And we want to say thank you, Samantha, for all you do.
Right, I would like to chime in. Obviously, David and Austin stepped into this after fiscal year 24 was already over. So this is not commenting on their abilities or work ethic or knowledge at all. I also want to really thank Samantha, who has herself been heroic working with multiple changes through the business office and really putting processes in place and allowing us to move through this. We expected every single thing that's in this letter, and we expect a couple of them to repeat next year because David and Austin didn't start in October, and even after they started, it was several months before we got all the way, you know, our banks reconciled and things like that. So I'm pleased that we have this done. I'm pleased that we have the document, and I'm pleased that we're moving forward.
And FY25 starts in January.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Nicole, you mentioned that you expect some things to repeat. I'm wondering if you could clue us in as to what that might be.
Well, it was after this audit that we discovered the discrepancies with the credit card based on our outgoing personnel. So that will likely be showing up.
Okay.
I think it seems likely that because we didn't get our bank reconciliations done until, I think it was February, we finally caught up, that we'll have something about that again. And maybe even there may be as many as all of these again, just because we weren't cleaned up yet.
Okay.
But I do know that both David and Austin have processes in place that we won't see. I seriously doubt we'll see any of these things in the next year audit.
Yeah. So speaking off the cuff a little bit, the first quarter of last school year, so July, August, September, and into the fall, was kind of more the same of the year prior as far as lack of documentation and processes being out of alignment. So that's a quarter of the entire school year or more.
Yeah, that's kind of a lot. Yeah.
I think a lot of these core areas we'll still see, but I think to Samantha's point and what we touched on, we've made a lot of improvement, and we're much better a year later than we were this time last year, where things felt pretty.
Thanks to both of you.
Pretty dark.
Yes.
And I also, we're to the point now where we are reconciling bank statements at the end of the month, and we are paying bills definitely within the 30 days, but often much quicker than that. And our, except for in emergencies, our POs are also coming before expenditures. I mean, we do have a sick goat and we have to call the vet kind of situation, but that's a rarity, not a practice.
And the IRS loves us again.
Yes, the IRS loves us again, and the state of Vermont.
The IRS has not said anything to us,
Right.
and so no news is really, really good.
So no.
Good work, guys.
No fee or penalties or,
I mean, they're-
Not currently, I mean,
Right,
we had to get caught up,
right,
Uh,
from
yeah.
previous, right,
so that was a bit painful to go through that, but
yep.
knock on wood, every 2 weeks with payroll, we're sending payments directly to the state and to the Fed, so that's helped stop the notices from coming, and same with our 941 reports.
Mhm.
And then the other thing I would share too, like I mentioned at the beginning, despite the challenges, we ended with a pretty healthy fund balance position, and that puts us in it's an interesting conversation as it relates to our budget development and thinking about next year and how we're going to allocate those resources. It's a nice problem to have, in other words, and in other years it's been a lot thinner and leaner than $300,000. So that's the silver lining for me is how we sort of finish the year out. And thanks to you, Samantha, again for helping us sort through the slop and figure out what needs to go where.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to 25. I think this will be a much smoother process, hopefully. Fingers crossed, right?
Well, and a really small, it seems like a small thing, but it actually is a huge pain until it's cleaned up, is all of the extraneous accounts that David was mentioning. We had many accounts that had small amounts of money in them just because over time they had stopped being used and nobody ever cleaned them up. So there was a real focus on cleaning those up and closing all the accounts that we're not using anymore. So it's not it doesn't show up hugely in here, but it certainly makes things a lot easier for us to track.
And are we fully transitioned into the new accounting system at this point, or?
Yeah, so we've been fully ported over to FY26, and we're on the uniform chartered account structure with the state. And as Samantha was talking about, we're kicking off the FY25 audit in a few weeks, and they'll have remote access to our books. So all good things.
Any questions from anybody online? All shaking their head. Okay, that's a good thing. Thank you, Samantha, and we're just happy that you didn't quit over it.
I didn't quit over it.
And that you're still willing to take us on for the next year. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. I look forward to seeing you guys again. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha.
Thanks, Samantha.
Thank you. Have a good holiday. Thank you. Number 5. Well, we do need to do an action item, excuse me. So, accepting the audit for FY24.
I will make that motion.
Christina would make that motion, and a second from?
Judd, second.
Judd's louder. Any more questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, either raise your hand or say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you.
I'll just add, if anybody is curious about the financials and wants to sit down and kind of just go through them, Austin and I are happy to do that.
Do you serve drinks?
Off campus.
Okay. On campus, thank you. Okay.
I'd like to say I understood everything she said, but that would be a lie.
Yeah.
That's all right. Do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Dave, for that. Much appreciated. Because we all try and digest all of that. So number 5, second reading of policy C8.
Okay, that's me.
Thank you.
So it's a little confusing, but here's where we are. We first adopted, or we first warned it according to what's written on the policy on the website on October 13th of 2025. And then we had the first read on the 16th. Hopefully that's a Thursday. anyways, I've reviewed this policy, and interestingly enough, the VSBA actually just reviewed this policy on November 4th of 2024. So that was like a year ago. And with that said, nothing has changed, but what I did note is there are a couple citations that are missing off of our existing policy that should be there, but there have been no changes to statutes or language or anything. We just have to note that there are a couple citations missing. So the citation 3 is not on the existing policy right now, and citation 5 is not noted on the existing policy. So it's really just like typos. Okay, so for all intents and matters, there's been no language change or anything of that nature.
What action do we need to take?
We need to just adopt it as being revised, or, you know,
Suggest a
we
revision?
reviewed it and adopted as of today, November 20th, 25.
So you want to make that motion?
Sure, and I will make the motion to adopt the policy C8, pupil privacy rights, that was reviewed by the VSBA on November 4th, 2024. And we had our first read on October 16th, 2025. I don't know if you need all that now, Rosie, but probably not.
Need anything else on? No?
Second.
And Steve is seconded. Any questions from anybody? Anybody online? Thank you. Sounds good. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Online, yes,
And if
aye.
you
Thank
pass
you.
that to Nicole, I circled the
Oh,
two places.
thank you.
Thank you.
That they just need to go on.
Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Approve the purchase of a new Haas mini mill. Anybody want to talk about that?
That's
Dave,
me.
Go ahead, Dave.
So this is funded by the $550,000 Advanced Manufacturing Federal Grant. This is Dan Aaronsmeyer's. We are looking to purchase this, but I'm going to give you one caveat. Dan approached me last week and said, you know what, I want to wait to buy this until we see what enrollment is for next year. And so what I'd like to do is get permission to buy it, and if we decide to move forward, we will. If not, we'll let you know over the next couple of meetings. And I think that's smart, because there's other ways that we could allocate this money towards salaries, et cetera. So I just wanted to have that caveat. But it is to help the students learn the basics of this, the mills.
Any other limitations on this grant, other than, is it purely equipment? I guess that's my question.
Nope, it was, the 550, it was 200,000 in equipment, 100 and something thousand in salaries, and some supplies and contractors and stuff. The only thing that we need to do is, we have to get approval to buy equipment over $5,000 from the federal government, but we want to go to the federal government to get that approval once we have the board approval.
Okay.
So.
David, follow-up question. Could you clarify item number 2, as far as the reallocation from the salary budget to the equipment?
Yes, so, well, it's the salaries and maybe some indirect costs. We budgeted like 60,000 in contracted services, and we just haven't spent that. And so we'd like to, we can move things around and move that money to the equipment budget. But we have to do a grant modification letter if it's over 10%. So that's kind of all behind the scenes, moving stuff around a little bit.
What's the number for the Haas mill?
How much it costs? $47,000.
Yeah.
Do we have a CNC lathe?
We have one already, so this would be
Okay.
a second, which is the reason why we're waiting to see attendance and how that goes.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea that I had, but CNC lathe is a big deal out there in
Yes.
manufacturing. It's not something we want to
Steve?
turn away from. Thank you.
I may be asking a question out of turn, but when we look at the budget scenario, to the right of the advanced manufacturing program, it says loss of $550,000 grant funding. Is there something that we need to know? Because I thought that was what was funding this.
Yeah,
Are we losing that grant?
no, I guess loss is not a great word.
Okay.
The grant ends in January of
I see.
27, so we have to spend the money basically in this budget year, FY 26.
Got it.
So this reflects, we're not gonna get the 50,000 subsidy on advanced manufacturing in this FY 27 budget.
In other words, current fiscal year budget, we didn't have to pay the full freight in the general fund for that program because we had the offset with the grant funding. That we won't have that next year, so you're realizing the full expense in that program next year.
Good question, Steve, though.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, yeah, maybe we could change that to expiration.
Yeah, expired.
The grant funding instead of loss.
Funny, I saw that and I was like, oh, I've already printed it, I'm not gonna redo it. There you go.
Steve will catch it. Any questions online from anybody? Seeing none. So we need action on that?
Yes, I need approval to
Thank
purchase
you.
over 40,000.
I move that we allow the option to buy this, should it be required by attendance.
Thank you, Jen. Second?
Second.
Steve-O? Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, either raise your hand or say aye, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Discussion on holiday office hours.
I don't think this needs approval, but I do want to run it by the board in case anybody sees any big red flags. During the holidays, so Thanksgiving break, winter break, February break, and spring break, we get almost no foot traffic through the building. And it's a nice time for the custodians to be able to close everything down, for Dan to be able to do IT things, and for office staff that are year-round to take vacation time. So I would like to have the district officially closed, the offices officially closed during those times. We will, of course, make arrangements for someone to be here to get packages and to answer questions. Melissa generally likes to work during these times because it's quiet and she can get a lot of data work done. But I'd like to go ahead and close the office during the breaks from school, not summer break, but those scheduled student breaks. And I just wanted to bring that up to the board in case anybody had any, it's not an action item, but I think it's we need to know and give information item.
Is that something we normally do? Or what's been happening in the past?
It's kind of been hit and miss. We have, last year we were closed during Thanksgiving break, but it wasn't a full week, I don't think, last year. And we were closed for most of, if not all of Christmas break. I think we were open for spring break. And I don't have historical data, so I don't know.
I was just curious, yeah.
But everybody reported that there was not a lot to do as far as reading the public and answering the door and answering the phones. And we don't have the same sort of traffic that, sports and things like that a regular school district does.
No Middlebury College students coming in to use the labs?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, we weren't aware of it last time either, so.
We walked in. Hey, how are you?
Nicole,
Yes.
how does that affect the program Dan's running on Wednesdays? That's in the evening?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I will have to ask Dan. I doubt he's planning to do it during a break. I know that most of our other programs, including the Makery, don't run during breaks. So I can ask him.
All his students access from the parking lot anyway. They don't come in.
Well, if he was here, he could open the door.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that's it after office hours anyway.
It is.
Mhm.
And I don't know if anybody knows, but, or knew, he came back from, I think there was a competition, was it in Burlington last night?
It was in Burlington, yes.
And did very well.
Right, so I can do a quick little segue. So the Vermont Chamber of Commerce had their big manufacturing summit yesterday, which was very cool. And one of the features was a dinner where they had awards for the best things made in Vermont by businesses. Beta Technology won, and there were also 2 other very cool things. One was a carbon fiber stingray that somebody's making. That was really cool. And then the other category is the best things made by CTE students or STEM programs. And of the 5 finalists in the state, we had 2. So Dan Ahrensmeyer's student Raphael Mitchell, who made a mobility device for a disabled child. And then we had Nick Cantrick and his program who made a tiny house. And Raphael was one of the 5 finalists, and then Nick Cantrick won first place, won the state award. So that will be in tomorrow's newsletter, but it was a pretty big deal and very well deserved.
You said Nick's program won it?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I would also add, there was I was talking to Christina about it, they announced at the hospital meeting that there was a mass casualty event that they staged on 116, last night, Monday night, anyway, it was Monday night. And casually, they mentioned, and we have all student, actors and so on from the Career Center, and I went, great, anyway, and they were all pretty gung-ho and everything else. I have not gotten the report of how it went, but they were pretty excited, the administrators that were gonna be involved with that, so just let you know. Cool. Eric gets a chance to talk about it, that would be great to hear how that went. And that somebody asked them, I think it was the Addison County Repertory Theater Group that was involved in it, but I thought that was kind of cool for them to do their thing and help out with the trainings and so on, and involve the hospitals and everybody, so it was a pretty big event. Budget conversation. Is this budget committee or who is this?
Yeah, I'm gonna share some things
Interesting. Thank you.
first.
So as David's getting ready for that, what we are hoping is, as we emerge from this meeting, we know which one budget scenario we're building out, because you'll have to vote on it in December.
Great. Most of the conversation and differences around the budget is based on North Campus and the bond or loan, so I thought we would start there. So Dan, do you want to kick us off? Can everybody see the screen? Well,
Yeah, hard to see. Maybe they can, we all have a.
We have it in front of us there.
we have a copy, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So, Dave has impressed upon me the idea that we're gonna have to do something with the roof. If you remember, 2 years ago, we were at a board meeting and we had that semi-major flood going on in the entryway. So there is either a patch or a repair, and we're looking at a 20-year roof patch replacement of $265,000, and that's actually, I have to say, that's a little better than we started out at. But part of the issue with that was removing the HVAC units to replace this roof, and the idea that the HVAC units may hold up another couple of years, if they fail, the center has to get shut down and they gotta bring in some sort of emergency heat. So my thoughts were that it would be irresponsible to lift the old HVAC units up, replace the roof, and put them back down at, lifting these units is expensive and it adds to the cost of the roof. And so my thoughts were, the team was coming around to the idea that we really need to replace the HVAC while that roof is being done. So that's pretty much the major items. A few other things that need to be done, upgrade North Campus, and the total there is about $1 million. Building that into the scenario you can see on the earlier page, we'll come back to that. Farther out are a few things that have been considered. The elevator, cooling system replacement, there's and repave the parking lot. And again, control upgrades. So that's another $800,000. We, in looking forward, $1 million loan, going back to the first page. We had a thing called the McCullen rule, where we did not want to go into a double-digit increase in in our budget, and the $1 million debt addition brought us in at 9.9%. In addition to the $1 million is the addition of electrical and plumbing, which you can see is about line 7 or 8 down below diesel. This is an addition of a new program, and $152,000, which is mostly salary and benefits and some equipment. We wanted to include that in all of the scenarios in that this does seem to be something that we need to do. Approval of this program has been ongoing for a while, and Nicole felt that you think it's going to go through with the state now, or what's your feel?
You might remember we applied for this last year and were told that we couldn't apply for more than one program at a time, so we did welding at that time because we knew we had an instructor. This year we have again applied, and we had a sit down with AOE where they asked us a bunch of questions and we walked them through our thought process and data. And so right now we're just waiting for approval or not, but I do not believe we're gonna get it in time for this budget scenario.
So that changes the number slightly. What would that do to the? So if we don't get approval, are we gonna continue? I mean, will we still, well, what would be the timing of doing it? Do we still want to approve this?
My recommendation would be approve the budget as if we were going to get electrical, and then if we don't, then either we can reduce the tuition that we charge, or we can bank that money into the fund balance and reduce our tuition next year. I think, Austin, you might have some more technical.
Yeah, the thing I think of too is the state has what they call an allowable tuition rule. So if we spend too thin and we don't spend enough, in other words, of our board approved budget, we're obligated to send that funding back to the state and sending districts. So there's a formula involved and there's a percentage threshold involved. But I think to your point, David, we're better off from this vantage point approving the budget as is, and then figure out if it fails or we don't get this program, thinking of ways to reallocate that funding in the future, so that we don't have to run afoul with the AOE or our sending districts.
Steve, you have a question? Well, observation, in the meeting, the thing that got mentioned was the roof, and then pulling the HVAC units off the top. We were informed that those HVAC units have been there for 20 years and that they have a 25-year life. And also that for the last 20 years, they have been handling diesel fumes, which is a little bit more destructive on those units than just typical air handling. So it didn't really make sense to try to squeeze 5 years if those units have those 5 years out of them. So if we were taking the roof off, it just didn't make sense to put old air handlers back on.
In the time frame for the roof and the handlers?
So the roof, if you guys today approve us going forward with the bond, which is kind of what we're recommending, is we would start the project of doing the roof in the summer, so kick that off. And at the same time, we would start looking at acquiring the air handlers. There's can be some lead time on those big pieces of equipment. So it's something that we might have to buy in the summer, and they don't show up until, February, March, or the spring of the year after. So the way I like to look at this when we're talking about these scenarios with different bond amounts is that's the maximum. Like, we don't necessarily need to spend that. So in other words, the way this might work is, let's say you guys approve the yellow scenario 2, $1 million, which I think is where would fit. If we did that, we would go out, we would start the roof. If we bought the air handlers but weren't installed, we wouldn't borrow that money down. So it would kind of be, it would save us money because we're not going to borrow the money that we don't need. We're going to borrow it as we need it. So I think I would look at this as up to $1 million. or maybe it's up to that amount of interest and principal that's actually going into the budget. So I think we, as the finance team, the budget committee, and the facilities committee will over time work through that and present that to the board as we find out for more information and start spending money and developing the project.
David, you mentioned the word bond. Do you want to clarify the financing picture or goal that we have in mind for how that gets funded?
So yeah, I changed the top to debt, even though I said bond, because I think it's a better statement. So there's a couple of ways. You guys all met the municipal leasing consultants. They're the ones that helped us finance the buses at 4.84% interest. It's kind of tax-free municipal loan. We've approached them to say, hey, would you be interested in financing the roof? And they would love to, right? And one of the reasons they love to is because we know that we are not going to default on a roof because we need the building. So I think we would look there. The other thing that I think we can consider is if ACSD goes out for a bond, maybe we go out for a bond. I think we've had some discussions about like how we present to the public that we're going out to borrow $1 million, whether we go for a bond or we do some kind of financing internally.
My preference on that was if you do the lease way, you do not have to warn that in the budget. But if we were to do it that way, that we should put it in warning anyway, because it's not necessary. You have to have public approval for a bond. Do not have to have it for the leasing option. I would feel more comfortable if it was in our warning that we were going to borrow $1 million.
So budget line item, and it's an article in the.
No,
Oh, just no.
we would just notify the public that we are intending to
Borrow money.
lease. Do the lease for $1 million.
Steve, can I add one thing to that?
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. What I think we could do is this today, I think I don't know if we need to vote on the budget, but I think we need to get to a scenario.
Right.
I think between now and December, in December, we're going to come back to you to tell you what our tuition is because we don't know the base rate, et cetera, et cetera. So at that point, I think that gives us a month to kind of research exactly what you're talking about, Steve, to find out what the precedent is for the state and what that might look like and the verbiage, and come to that December meeting with the warning, because I think we have to come to that meeting to approve the warning. So we have another chance to talk about this and to work that out.
Christine?
Couple things. If when or if we move forward with the roof and the HVAC project, would we be consulting with EEI and related to the performance bond we already had and?
I think so far, they have been pro bono doing all this work. They made this spreadsheet that we saw. They did all that pro bono.
Yeah.
I think they're disappointed that we took the solar piece out, and I think that's their bread and butter.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to lay out, but I suspect that they're going to be involved and help us, and certainly either we're going to hire them or bid to hire them as the construction manager, or I can put that out to bid so that they have an opportunity to do that.
Because in Addison Northwest, we just completed a roofing project this year with them, and so it was an add-on sort of to that performance contract they did a few years back. I think depending on what Middlebury might go out for a construction bond, like if they go out for a $45 million bond, I'm not sure how that looks, honestly, for.
Meaning if we go out for a bond at the same time?
Yeah, but.
Is it too much competition or what's the?
It's a pretty hefty number, especially compared to where the other school districts are.
So
we talked about.
yeah, we're looking at approving this and bundling it, not getting approval next year with the Middlebury bond, but getting it approved now and then bundling it with the bond later, right? Is that what we talked about?
Well, we talked about, like, for instance, if we needed to do the roof this year, but we don't want to do a bond in March.
Right.
We could go ahead and fund the bond, and then if we decided to do a bond, we could do a bond and repay
Right.
the lending.
But I agree with you.
Not, you know, I think that's all, we can all decide that as we go along. I think we have plenty of time to kind of.
Okay,
I don't know if it looks good to only be asking for $1 million.
Well,
If
true.
you go
There's
41
that,
million, I'd be like.
and the other thing I just wanted to point out to the whole board is any changes in programs here. So we're adding a new program, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the culinary is going to go to like 2 half-day programs, correct?
Good question, yeah,
Um,
yes, we're gonna give that a shot
Yep.
and see if it doesn't help with enrollment
Does not really have an impact on the budget.
on the cost, right?
But I just wanted everybody to sort of,
Yeah.
and there's no other changes to any of our existing programs at this point.
Electrical, we've talked about, adding electrical, so
Right.
that's
Yeah.
down about the 6th line down.
Yeah.
152,000. And then the other thing that we have in here is, and I don't, Nicole, apologize, I haven't told you I put this in, but the design and illustration
Right.
2, I
So,
have in here.
so we have a incredibly talented and underemployed TA in our auto program right now who actually teaches at Champlain College. He teaches creating the built environment within video games. So all of the cool animation and sets and everything so that's what he does. He's really good at it. And he is interested in maybe teaching a section of design and illustration that is focused on that. So,
So that would be a new addition.
it would,
Sort of.
right,
Yeah,
it
cool.
would, right.
Not technically a new program, but
Right.
it's
Just
an
like-
increase in enrollment to an
Yeah.
existing program.
We think it would increase enrollment.
Great.
It would be a change of focus of that program, not necessarily a new program.
And will we know by December, our next board meeting, if the electrical program is a go or not, or it's not till January?
We might,
Okay.
but I can't guarantee.
Yeah.
It's on their timeline, not ours, unfortunately. We did impress upon them the timelines we were working with them, but
We will come to you for approval because we need that in our minutes and we
Yeah.
have to prove that we've got that, so.
Steve?
I thought that the engineering program was still on the books, and will it not be removed?
we have to, at our December board meeting, make a final decision because we can
Okay.
only have a program on pause for 2 years.
Right.
So on your December agenda will be whether or not to close that program.
So you were talking about changes in
Oh, right,
that
yeah.
would include it closing a program.
Okay, because that program's
So
not in
it's
this
not
budget,
listed on the
right?
budget
It's not on
because-
here because there's no budget last
Right.
year or
Okay,
this year or
thank
next
you
year.
for pointing that
Yeah.
out too, so.
Good question.
Any questions online? You can shake your head, but we can't see it, sorry.
No question. No questions.
Thank you.
I will point out, just on the very bottom line, it says new North NC bond, that's the North Campus bond. So if you go from scenario 1, 2, and 3, that's really the only changes between the green, yellow, and purple. $500,000 for 10 years is $63,000 payment a year. $1 million debt at 20 years is $76,000. And $1.5 million at 20 years is $115,000 principal and interest.
And scenario 3 gives us the elevator and the cooling system.
I think the scenario 3 kind of gets us a good ways through that 3 to 5 year number. You know, the other thing I have in my mind is that we've applied for the building grant, and that may come up, though I don't think it would affect this budget. It would be next year's budget, or FY 28's budget, that would really come into play.
And that would be big. That would be big.
Be super cool.
Possibly fold some of this other stuff. If you build the other building, you won't need an elevator, so this,
Right.
Right.
$500,000.
There you go.
Yeah.
Save.
So, budget committee, what do you need from us? Anything?
Well, we wanted to show, I think, the three that we looked at more than three, but these were the ones that we thought would be the best to give you the most complete picture. Sending districts are expecting under 10%. So if you pick three, you're gonna upset some people. So, and 9.95 is really, yeah, we're always there under 10, and they're gonna, you followed the letter, not the spirit here, but I think we need those things. I think we definitely need the roof, definitely need the air handlers, so.
It's just gonna cost us more money down the road if
Exactly.
we don't do the air handlers, yeah.
And to go the higher scenario, if we can get that, grant, let's do that later. So, to me, I can't speak for the whole committee, but to me, scenario 2 seemed the most prudent.
That's where I
Same.
So with the few questions that we have left, that are hanging with AOE and so on, everybody feeling like we could vote on this in December? Because that's when we need to do it.
Do we have the online people? Maybe we could see.
Yeah, we
Well,
just
let me
wanted to make
share
sure
on-
everybody on the board, you know,
Understood.
hear your
Got to see
feedback. Do you have
all
a
this,
preference? Do you, which
Oh,
one
I
do
got
you
a
think is
chatter.
good
Hold on, yeah.
or not good?
You know, I mean, we didn't discuss bringing on electrical that much, except to think that we need to.
Hold on, Dave. Let me just
Sorry.
start. John, do you have any questions, Liz?
No questions specifically, but I love the idea of doing more with that design and illustration concept that you were talking about. I suppose it is worth asking, do we have enough computers for that? I assume that's a digital medium, so I guess that would be the only other thing to put into budget scenarios if there's any hardware needed.
Just buy.
Good question.
Yes.
That's a great question, one of which I haven't really put a lot of thought into.
Yeah.
But it doesn't bring up it doesn't make me feel pause because of, just that we have a lot of computers and, it happens at Lisa's class, we're gonna be cycling her new computers in next year, and so we might have a chance to reuse some of those. So I don't feel that's gonna be a big issue.
Great, wonderful.
And we have classroom space.
Yes.
Liz, any questions? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. This is a lot of work, and it's been a long time since we've seen some things like this.
And just so for real clarity, I believe I hear that the board is having us move forward with scenario 2. Okay.
Bill, is that something? Okay, good. People online, are we looking at number 2? Thank you. Liz, yes, thank you. That works for me. Dave, go ahead.
I just wanted to get a flavor. If we get a no on electric, that's $152,000 coming out of the budget. Where would you guys want to go? Would that mean we would maybe borrow more money because we've got a little bit more, or we would just wait and have a lower percentage increase?
Quick question before you go to that. Does the scenario 2, does that include the gutters on this building, the patch?
The gutters in this building are just in the repairs and maintenance of this year's budget, so it's not.
So not even on the sheet?
Nope.
Okay, good.
Just to give you guys a little clarity, we are doing some patchwork on this roof here. It's gonna be about $15,000 to have them come and fix and repair some of the gutters that are causing some issues.
That's from another pile.
It'll probably have to come, it'll be in the repairs and maintenance budget, or we'll pull the remainder of it out of the growth fund.
Okay. So your question was, if we don't get approval for the electrical, what do we do with that money, or do we not do anything with the money?
Right, I mean, I think we'll know if we're gonna get electrical before we go to ballot. We may not know before we approve this budget, but we're gonna know before we go to,
Till
So
before
vote.
February, which.
so I just wanted to get a sense of what your guys' thoughts were with what we would do with that 152.
What would that magic number be at the bottom if we took the 150 out?
At the 115?
If we took the
Oh, the
electrical
152.
out, what's the budget increase?
Hold on, let me just do
I
that
knew you could
live.
do that, David, that's why I asked, just like that, just so we know what we're talking about.
Right,
And I just want to add a little caution that even if we get approval from the state, there's also a big if we can find an instructor for that
Mm.
program, so.
How big of an if, Wendy?
We are hearing that other programs are not having very many applicants,
Oh,
but
dear.
we have a nice list
Yeah.
that we would like to do a mailing to say,
Okay.
wouldn't you love to come
Yeah.
and teach students and
Cut your
feel
pay in half.
fulfilled and cut your pay in half?
And would that hire have
Deal
to
with
happen
teenagers
for,
instead of
like,
homeowners.
do enrollment for it, or
No,
is
we
it
would,
simultaneous?
Yeah, it's usually the first year of a program, you don't have very strong enrollment.
Yeah.
But unless you're welding, and then you're full.
Yeah.
So,
and we would expect this one to fill up quickly
I
based
kinda
on
think it
wait
would
lists
too,
on other
but-
schools.
Yeah.
so the answer is, scenario 1, which is the green, would be 7.05%.
Mm-hmm.
Scenario 2, which is the yellow, would be 7.29%.
That's a pretty nice number.
And then scenario
Yeah.
3, the purple, would be 7.96%.
Wow.
I hate to question your numbers.
That's a
Please
pretty
do,
big
because
move.
God
from-
knows.
Seems like a pretty substantial move for $150,000.
Well, if you think about 150,000, let's check. What's 150 as a percentage of 5 million?
3%.
About 3%.
3%.
So we're moving down less than 3%.
that's called math sense.
That's
Good
just
job.
back of the envelope.
Yeah, if we don't have electrical, my preference would be to lower tuition. But I represent a sending school, so.
You mean stick, like scenario 2, stick with that?
And go with 7.29% on losing electrical. So then if electrical was brought on the next year, would we petition again?
Yes, I think.
So then that would bump us up.
But another year passes and,
Yeah.
Another 9%.
So I think I'm hearing scenario 2 kind of that's where we're going. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because then the other 3 to 5 year things get pushed off with the addition of electrical.
Right.
Yeah, I guess, if we do if that grant came through, like, I guess we wouldn't spend the money anyway. Like, if we went for the scenario 3 and did the elevator, which has been hanging over our head for how many years now?
Yeah, that's the building one.
Honestly,
1 year.
if we got the grant, then we could pull the plug on the elevator work, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's why.
It's nice to have.
But also we have to match that grant if we
Right.
get it.
That's
Yeah,
true,
so
too.
it's a $900,000.
So that might be nice to have that little, anyway.
Okay, I'm gonna move people along.
Yeah.
Thank you for the healthy discussion and informative, and again, thank you for all your work, tremendous amount of work. Question?
Liz has her hand raised.
Sure,
I
Liz,
don't know
go ahead.
the question.
Yeah, I did. I was wondering, I support Steve's idea. And also, one thing we were thinking about at MAUSD was, so I don't remember us having the conversation at the budget meeting, and so I'm thinking of it now, is the yield and how that affects our tax rates with Hannaford. Because at MAUSD, right, like we are aiming for a percentage and then we don't know how the yield will affect it afterwards. And does the yield also affect the Hannaford Career Center budget? And then we also have a choice, like are we counting on the yield possibly having money put into it in the state to buy it down, or are we counting that nothing is put in by the state? And could this money help with that situation as a one-time fund. I don't know. I just hadn't asked about that and how the yield affects this budget.
Yeah, Liz, my understanding, independent tech, and we're one of 4 centers in the entire state. What drives our budget formula is the base rate, which is determined. There's a whole bunch of economic factors that feed into it, but we're separate from regular ed as far as yield and ADM factoring into their budget scenarios. So for better or worse, we're sort of a complicated outlier as far as how our budgeting is structured, but it's not directly tied to any sort of yield indicator, if that makes sense. The other thing is local like if we control costs at a local level, what is impacting our financial picture is participation statewide, and I think that's not necessarily unique to us, but that's also part of this whole macroeconomic climate for budgeting. Does that answer your question, or does that bring up more questions?
No, that's good. Thank you so much. And that would explain why we hadn't talked about it, is because it doesn't affect us in that way. Thank you.
Sure. And as far as timing goes, the December tax letters, when those statistics are announced, the base rate is what we really key in on. And we do have preliminary numbers now, but we are still working through what that will look like as far as our tuition and calculations for next board meeting.
Okay, Christine?
I just have one more quick question related to the elevator.
Yeah.
So if we did in fact do the elevator, can you just remind us what that gains us? An extra classroom space or just remind us, yeah.
Yep, so there were 2 thoughts. One is we have 1 classroom upstairs without an elevator. So an elevator, and we had, this week, we had a student who sprained her ankle and she was up and down the stairs in crutches. It does happen. So the elevator doesn't do anything as far as gaining us, it just helps us be better citizens.
Right, and make us compliant with ADA and all that.
But saying that, there was consideration to say, if we were putting an elevator up, then we could also put another classroom up there instead of building the extra building to get natural resources over there to free up space here for electrical and plumbing over time.
Mezzanine. Is there enough square footage to do that?
There is enough square footage above auto in that mezzanine area that's above there. They think that they could put a classroom there, and then they'd have to move kind of air handlers around to make a thing. It would be a significant to do in that building. And I think we would really, honestly, I think we'd only do it if we just didn't have another option.
Yeah.
Because it's not great, but it's let's call it an $800,000 solution to a problem that if we built a new building is going to be 2 or 3 or whatever. So
2 or 3 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving along. Thank you, everyone. Good questions. Very, very good questions. Public comment on any other topic that we haven't covered this evening?
Jeff has one.
Go ahead, Jed. Thanks.
I got to participate with the high school musical here in Middlebury over the last week and building sets with them. And it wouldn't surprise you probably that a lot of Career Center students helped out with the sets, both Mr. Kendrick's class, but also I got to hang out for 5 Saturdays with Rafi, who just won all that stuff. And his enthusiasm toward the Career Center and not even just him, when he was describing to me what he does and the creation that he made, like everyone else gathered around and they were, yeah, that's what he does. And, there is real, genuine excitement with the student body for these programs and what they get out of them. And it's really fun to just see that just raw energy. And they love Mr. Ahrensmeyer. So cheers on another good hire.
Thanks, Jeff.
If I can quickly add on to that, I've been going to the Tiger Drone Club on Wednesday nights, which Rafi's part of, and I think there's 6 or 8 high school kids, and then there are a bunch of kids from 6th grade on up, and they're doing robotics, they're doing drones, and it's amazing to see the kids who will be coming along and using these programs. Dan's great with them. The other teachers are good with them. Is Luke, who's the assistant?
Oh, is it
Steve Lorenz?
Steve Lorenz?
Yeah, Steve Lorenz. They're all doing a really good job, and the kids are having a ball. So they're having a lot of fun. It's a good program.
Yours.
On a personal note, my son took the adult ed welding class, which I've shared with you, and has been texting me, asking me all sorts of questions, because he's applying to the school in Burlington. And he turned 30, so better late than never, but I've never seen him as excited about anything. And I thank Dylan for that. And Dylan has helped him with his resume. He did everything that, mom and dad can't do anymore. And it really is an adult learner now. We forget that group sometimes. And there's a lot of young men, especially in this state, who really, really, when they see the dollar signs and things, but the commitment to be able to do that. So it's a 6-month program, so I'll let you know how it goes. But I can't say enough about Dylan, because he really changed my son's mind on a lot of things and got him focused into something that he can make money. Anyway, which I like that. And some of you know this, the hospital board, about 3 years ago, the UVM board kind of took over most of the fiduciary responsibilities of the hospitals in our network. And we have been lobbying for about 1.5 years to bring some of that back to the local boards. As you know, the presidency has changed. Right now we have an acting president, but as a result of that negotiation, all of the chair people from the 6 sending hospitals will be now members of the UVM board. And yours truly will be wearing that hat also. So if I miss a couple of meetings, that's probably one of the reasons. But we're very excited about as those decisions that are going to be made locally again, which is what was missing, I think, all the way along. And the new administration, his big thing is quality. And it's nice to hear that, and to hopefully lower costs as much as we can control within the area. So share that with you on a personal note. Board reflection.
Oh, I thought that's what we were just doing.
Great discussions.
Those were comments.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
You kept it moving.
Yes, I've been,
And we're right on time.
We're right on.
I had two people going,
Bravo.
actually three. Somebody else is online.
Not bad, since we were talking about budget too.
Yeah, but thank you for that diagram. I think those visuals for me personally are just so much more helpful. And I know you guys have done a lot of work, and to also have some options versus just one. I think that's a really helpful piece. Next board meetings are listed, both on Thursdays. If you can't come ahead of time, it's really helpful. Thank you, everyone who did notify us one way or another, so we have some deal with the quorum. And if you can't come and service online, terrific. I really appreciate it, taking the time. And I don't know if Montreal's still online, but thank you, Kristen.
I'll be in Montreal in the next board meeting.
Will you? Okay, you could,
I'll
you
try
know
to
you can
call
check
it.
in.
Is December 18th our next one?
Yes.
Okay.
And the 15th in January, both on Thursdays. We need to go into executive session. We have 2 items, and whoever makes the motion, would you please read both of those?
I move that we go into executive session per VSA 313A1, and that we find that there is we have a specific finding that that premature general public knowledge would clearly place us at a disadvantage discussing labor relations agreement with employees. And we have to have the finding before we have so then the next motion, because the next one doesn't need a finding, I believe.
We're talking about evaluation.
Right,
But it's not an end result, it's just a conversation about it.
Right, but we have to do the finding for the first one.
Yes.
And then the next motion. So we have to do the finding first. And that's what I was moving for. And then the next motion will include both of those items because.
Is it 2 separate items? Is that what you're saying?
It's 2 separate items in the second
Yeah.
one, but the second one doesn't need to have a finding.
Gotcha. So we're taking action, that's what you're saying.
So we have to vote on that first one. the finding first.
We need a second.
Sorry?
We need a second on that.
Yes.
I second it.
Johnny, are you all set with what we're talking about?
As much as I ever am on that stuff.
Okay, thank you. With the motion on the floor, it's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You say aye, raise your hand, thank you. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
Then I would like to move that we go into executive session for VSA 313A1 about premature general public knowledge would place us at a disadvantage discussing labor relations, and section 313A3 about appointment, employment, or evaluation of a public officer or employee.
Second from Judd. Any questions from you? No. All those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Seeing none, we are in executive.